Welcome to Let's Talk Church and Other Things. I'm your host, Shirla,
And I'm Corey.
and today our guest is Kari, aka DJ Knockout.
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. We know you're busy, but I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come and be with us on today. So, we're going to get right into this episode. The reason why I wanted to speak to you was to talk about the issue with young people dealing with loss of a loved one. Back in 1997, Kari had a brother who passed away. At the time, your brother was
17.
17 and Kari was 9 years old. Um, his brother, rest in peace, Malik, played basketball, CYO League with my son, franchise. And so I knew the family. And I had a relative who was also with Malik when the incident happened. I remember being at the funeral home, and Kari, you were there, and everybody was, yeah, of course, they're going to dote over the child. But I remember you specifically saying, "That's not my brother." And he was a little bit disfigured. So to you, that was not your brother because that was not who you remembered. And that stayed with me all these years later, and I still remember it vividly, like it just happened. And we met up right after Thanksgiving last year, and we talked briefly. And from the time that that conversation concluded, I just kept thinking about he was only 9 years old when that happened. Did he understand really what happened? And did he feel like he got lost with, his parents were grieving, but yet they're still trying to raise him, and everything that was going on around you at the time. So I just wanted to know, like, going back to when you were 9 years old and it happened, did you understand really what had taken place?
I did. I grew up pretty fast, especially around that time. But me and Malik were like, Scooby and the little one. What was the little one's name?
Scrappy?
Scrappy and Scooby. You know what I mean? So everything he did, I tried to emulate. Everywhere he went, I tried to go. Obviously, as he grew older than I was, I couldn't walk to BJ's house, which was down the street, or I couldn't
Right.
hang out with Malik, Jalan, Roy, and Herbie or those guys back in the day. But I watched them grow up as well, kind of. But I was always a fast learner, so I knew kind of what had happened. And my older brothers, they're in their 50s now, so they never kept anything from me. I always was the air hustling little kid. If you told me to go to bed, I was still up. Either got my ear against the wall or trying to listen to what's going on A Living Color, or just listening, to my parents argue sometimes if they was to argue. I don't know. I'm a curious person, especially as a kid. So me and my brother, we did everything together until he became like a teenager, and there was some things I just couldn't do because I was still 8 years old, 6 years old, but I was quick. So, but yeah, I knew exactly what was going on. And it was scary because I thought I was next, kind of like that was always my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, if this happened to him, and he wasn't in no gang and nothing like that, what's the chances of it happening to me? Pretty high,
Right.
at 9 years old. So you never think that you're gonna go through that,
Right.
because we were, I was a kid watching stuff like that happen on the news, but Malik was sitting right next to me. We were watching it together, like, man. So, oh yeah, I knew, I felt it, and it was kind of like it was anybody that can remember that time, it was a weird feeling outside. It was like it was kind of like I grew up in like a war situation, like things were happening after that, so it was like, it was real, it was very real. I saw my dad cry for the first time. You know,
So during that time, do you feel like you kind of like got lost in the mix as far as my parents are grieving, you know, his friends are grieving. I'm only 9 years old. You know, do they remember that? Do they know that I'm here? Do they remember I'm here? Do they remember like he was my brother? He was my ace boon coon. Like he, you know, I was his little road dog. Like, do you feel like at any time you got lost in the mix?
No, because I think that's kind of like when the focus was on me with my whole family, you know, and I thank them for that. Not just my immediate family, my brothers and my mother and stuff like that, but my whole family, the whole family on my mother's side, family that my uncle was married into, their family, the family on my father's side, their family that they've married into. Like it was a tight knit, you know, village when that happened. It brought everybody together, kind of. I mean, but everybody, you know, back in the day, everybody kind of grew up together. If you grew up on the same street as someone, you considered yourself family. Now you don't know your neighbors anymore, like back in the day. So,
True.
But so when that happened, it was kind of like everybody held hands and shoulder width apart at all times, even with their own kids. But especially when I was around, it was different, you know.
Wow. So kudos to your family, your parents, who showed tremendous strength during that time. They're still standing and still going strong. And kudos to them, because it's evident, because you're sitting here, that they were looking out for you. Because, you know, we live in a day and time where there's so many young people losing their lives, and their younger siblings feel like they have to go and handle the situation. Even though they may not even know what really went down, but because of what they heard in the street, what they heard from their older siblings, friends, and you know, sometimes these friends will take the younger sibling and take them under their wing, you know, and almost create an angry child, because they're constantly talking about, yo, I know what happened to, you know, your brother or your sister. Like, I know who did it. I know this. Right. And so it causes you to grow up with remorse, which I don't think is fair. It's not. It's not fair. So let's fast forward to now. You're 13 years old. You're a teenager. How is it affecting you now?
It was kind of like I thought, you know, I had to think about a lot. Every situation, I thought it through. So it was like, okay, I'm 13, so that's 14, 15, 16, 17. I might only have 4 years to go. So what am I going to do with these next 4 years? That's how it was for me. I didn't think I was going to make it past 17. I thought 17 was this happened to him, this is bound to happen to me, because he didn't deserve that. You know what I mean? So everything that I did since from 9 years old to my life today is always calculated, because I done seen my brother's life get taken from him. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was sick with cancer or something like that. He was murdered.
You wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah, no. I mean, you can't prepare anyone for that.
Right.
If someone's sick, you can kind of like
you see it coming, and you
Right.
kind of get ready and stuff like that. I'm telling you, my brother.
That phone call, like
I remember that day. First of all, I had people could say, "Oh, we don't believe in this stuff." I had a dream about the whole thing while it was happening. Before the cops told my mother what color the vehicle was, I told her, and I told her that they hit a tree. And I had a dream about it. And then we get a voicemail, and it's somebody screaming saying they shot Malik. And this is back in the day when you had house phones and they're leaving voicemails, and that's what they're screaming. And I'm a little kid sitting in my bed. I can't go nowhere because I just heard my parents bolt down the stairs, and I'm sitting there waiting for them to come back. And this is at 3 in the morning. And I stayed up that whole time waiting for them to come back. And before they can even get back, my house was flooded with everybody, from politicians to the wolves.
Wow. Wow.
That's tough.
So growing up, I always had my head on a swivel more than, say, my friends would. So when we're out being kids, being boys, you know, and getting into mischief, I really thought about everything we were doing, and I always had an escape plan set up to get up out of there. No matter what we were doing, throwing water balloons at cars, snowballs at cars, busting windows, you know, hood stuff that kids used to do. I always had an escape plan because I'm not going out like that. That was my thing. That scared me the most. Not getting in a fight, not taking an L in a fight. It was always like, if I can't make it home to my parents tonight, what's going to be left for them? Because, I mean, it was hard losing one, but I couldn't imagine them losing another.
Wow. And I guess in a way that's a good attitude to have, because that will help keep you on the, you know, on the up and up, because you didn't want to see your parents go through that again. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I had to. They probably don't. I mean, we don't really talk about it like that. You know what I mean? Because I know it's the hardest thing to talk about with them. But, I had to. I'm very observant. And that's probably why I could do impersonations and stuff like that. But I watched them go through it with each other, with just everything. How people would not see them, and then hey, sorry to hear about. I could see it. I could see the pain. But I turned it into something else. For me, it was like comedy, and I would turn it into jokes. Like at the funeral, I was telling jokes and had everybody laughing with tears in their eyes. I just couldn't. The tears couldn't fall down mine. So it was like, what would me and Malik be doing right now if he was right next to me? We'd be telling jokes, cracking on people. Oh, you got some high waters on. What you doing here with those? You know what I mean? Like, that's what it was for me at the Bell Funeral Parlor, and everybody would tell you that was there. I was telling jokes and doing magic tricks. And my brother was laying in that box with a swollen face because the bullet, he got hit in the temple. So it was, it was just, I don't know, just growing. I grew up fast. Definitely caused me to grow up fast because things were happening after that. And who knows? You start thinking, are they going to come for you? You know what I mean?
Right.
But it wasn't even that. It wasn't even like that. So,
Right.
but you're still,
Right.
it's a shock to you.
Right, because it's like, you know, here's someone innocent.
Right.
So if it can happen to someone innocent, then I'm innocent too. Who's to say it won't happen to me?
Right. So when they say bullets have no name, like that plays in my head all the time.
Right. Right. And we had a cousin that was also, you know, involved in that situation. You know, fortunately for him, he survived. But yeah, again, innocent people. So you got into basketball at what age?
I mean, I was playing every sport really when I was young. You know, Malik going to his games and watching those guys play at St. Mike's in Southside Rec. I started playing maybe in middle school.
So did you get into basketball?
Baseball
because
was
Malik
first.
Okay.
But basketball, I mean, all my friends played. Whatever my friends really did, I did.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I wasn't a follower, but it's like when everybody on the street is into a sport, you kind of, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not the oddball. I could play. You know what I mean? I played everything. We had rollerblade, street hockey when it was warm out, soccer. We played everything because we didn't have tablets and nothing like that. So,
Right.
you know, so football, played football shortly after Malik's whole situation. And I played for the Cowboys. That was kind of weird for me, you know, at that time because it was everybody was uncomfortable at the time, you know, if you can understand what I'm saying. But
Yep.
and then I played with them for a few years because my nephews were also on that team, and it's deeper than we can go right now. But then I went to the Southside Saints, and in the midst of all that, played basketball for CYO League and stuff like that. But me and Malik's thing was the music.
Really?
Yeah, that was really our thing. So, he used to back in the day.
DJ?
He didn't DJ, but he was a music connoisseur. Like he had all the Mike Nice blend tapes. He had all the Juice tapes. Every mixtape I've ever heard, the first time I've ever heard it was with Malik in his room. And then he used to cut out magazines and put them on the wall. He used to have like the Ebony at the top, the swimsuit models and stuff like that. But then he lived, you know, he stayed in the attic, which was another whole place to be, the one family house. But his room was on the third floor once he got a little older. So he had all the rappers and R&B singers and stuff like that. So he used to play the cassette tapes and then have me point out who it is, and I would go the verse, he would do the hook, and then I would do the verse, and then we would just go back and forth depending on who it was.
Is he the one who inspired you to got you into music?
Yes. My parents, they always played their stuff, James Brown, Ella Fitzgerald, and my mother had her favorites, Earth, Wind, and Fire and stuff like that. My father, Stylistics. I hated the stuff when I was a kid. I didn't want to listen to that. I wanted you to turn on Kicks 106, when I'm going to school. But, he wanted to play his oldies. So, but that's how deep my range goes as far as music. But as
you
far
like
as
it now, though, right?
Oh, I love it. I love it now. It's like eating Brussels sprouts. You hated them as a kid, but you love them now.
I still don't eat them.
I'm just using that as an
I
example,
know.
but some of the music was like vegetables that you didn't like to eat, back in the day. But yeah, I think Malik plays if not one of the biggest parts of my music career or my music interests. Yeah, I think he does play a big part. Other than your son teaching me how to
continue on.
Become the DJ that I turned into, but I mean that didn't come from Malik, that came from Franchise. But as far as the music love, that came from Malik, definitely. So when he passed, his room stayed the same for like a few years. So I would just go up there and just play them cassettes, sit in his room, just do what we did.
So in his 17 short years, he left a lot with you.
Yeah. I used to put on his clothes and just chill. Sneakers I couldn't fit yet, but I could fit them now. But, you can't keep sneakers for too long because then they just start dry rotting. I kept a few, but all his clothes I still have. All his cassettes I still have. I don't have any of the pictures on the walls and stuff like that anymore, but, he used to tag and draw and stuff. I still have all that. He used to tag the walls. How Chris Brown does his house now, that's how Malik used to be with tagging and stuff like that. So I have a lot of his that are still left. I got this one cologne that he used to wear all the time. It evaporated, but it still smells like him. So every once in a while, I'll just take smell it real quick, and it just brings me right back to the last time I saw him.
So now you're 17 years old, the age that he passed away. How
Now
was
I'm
that?
17. I'm driving. I was driving early at like 16, but 17. I'm still on point at all times. Still on point. It can happen any day. That's how I was feeling, and that's probably why I'm a good driver to this day. Because sometimes, like you thought, you just have, it's kind of like a paranoia type thing. Like, what car's that right there? I can't see in it. I'm out of there. Like I don't know. It becomes a survival tactic now. Like, I wasn't running around scared or nothing like that.
Right.
I'll fight. But it's like, okay, if I beat you up now, am I going to get shot?
Yeah, they don't fight no more.
Right, not anymore. But,
Back then either, they didn't fight.
yeah. But I learned how to fight from my older brothers. There was 4 of us. So, but it was just different. But I made sure I kept my nose clean as far as, like, real, like, problems in the street, because I knew where it can go, and I already knew what type of temperature my family's coming with. And I know what it can do to someone else's family, because we're not
Right.
playing that no more, ever again. It's not going down like that. And if it ever does today, it's going to get ugly.
So what do you think was your motivation? Because a lot of young men, I wouldn't be able to have this interview with because they took the wrong way. What do you think was your motivation to stay on the right track?
I can say that my brother Jamal, he told me the story. He said my dad came to him and was like, listen, like, I can't go through this again. What can I do to keep him on the right path? Because he's, he can go down that route. And I know him. He's not no punk. He's a little firecracker, always. But he's down for it. You know what I mean? I never shied away from anything, but and everybody knows that. But my father told my brother and said, listen, what do we do to keep him straight and keep him out the mix? And my brother was like, man, get him some turntables. And that's how that happened.
Wow. So by then you were at the Met,
Hmm.
going to the Met High School.
I had turntables before that.
Oh, okay.
But I used to break all the turntables in my house, so my father was like, my brother knew it because they were belt drive. So you would, once you took them off the belt, it was hard to put them back on if you didn't know the way to align it. But it was that. And the next Christmas, this was before I was 17 though. This was shortly after, maybe like 12, 13, 14, or in that range. But I was still playing sports and stuff like that. But my father could see me growing a little bit, talking a little different, kind of questioning certain things, and I'm seeing certain things. I'm watching the news. I'm seeing everything going on. I'm hearing conversations. It just didn't stop in '97. It turned into a war out here. So it was like, what do we do to keep him out the mix? Because he's growing up and he's probably gonna get to it.
You're hearing things. And
Oh yeah. So now I'm, the anger is still in me. It's still there. I'm still angry. I'm still upset. I still can't understand it. I still don't understand. You know what I mean? So it's like it takes a lot. And I just saw something on Instagram that said it takes a lot of anger to be this calm, and it's so serious. Because it's easy.
So as
very
you were
easy.
getting older, did you find the anger intensifying, or
Absolutely. Absolutely. It started intensifying because now, as a young man, now the testosterone's running through you crazily, and now you're kind of growing up. You're building more confidence to move a certain way. So it's like you're itching for it now. So it's kind of like the devil's like, hey, kid, if I was you, yeah, go get that. It's right there. Go do your research. It's actually it's closer than you think. But, growing up in that environment, I kind of saw what was already happening. It's just like, okay, well, I don't really got to do much. Things were happening, and it's just, the way the cookie crumbles. But it took a lot for me to really not turn into that. And I think it takes great courage and strength to really control that. And I feel like sometimes if you don't have the right support system around you or the right people in your ear that's kind of giving you those options, yeah, you can go do it, but this is going to be the consequence.
right,
You're either going to get jammed up or you might catch one.
right?
go either way.
Right. And I never been a gambler, so it's just like, I just stayed busy. But what really kept me from that was I couldn't imagine my parents having to go through that again, or for something that I did. So if it comes, I'll deal with it when it comes.
But you
But
didn't want to push the issue.
I didn't want to be the one pushing the button. But if it comes, I'll deal with it when it's time to deal with it.
It's tough when someone takes someone away from you that you love, and then you know about it, and anger takes over. I've been there.
Yeah, and my father's a Marine. Went to Vietnam, came back with a Purple Heart. My uncle did the same. And dude's, vicious. You know what I mean? But then you have someone like my mom who has the most grace and she's so tranquil. She's from, Cambridge, Mass, Roxbury area, and there ain't no punks out there neither. You know what I mean? So it's like she got it in her too. But it's like, it takes a village, really. And I feel like some of these kids, they don't know how to handle it. Sometimes it's tough to take the L, but take that one L, take another L, throw it together, now you got yourself a W. You know what I mean? So that was the mindset. But it took a lot, and it still takes a lot, honestly. And I just stay busy.
You have to.
So you got into DJing at what age?
I had 13 records at, I think I was 14. 13 records that I bought myself. And those were the same 13 records that I was just practicing on. And then I met your son, Josh. Nice Hits, and he introduced me to your son. But I already knew him.
It's so weird how things happen in life, because we knew Malik because, they played CYO basketball, even though I think Malik was in the group above franchise,
Mhm.
but we would all be there all together at the games because
Yeah, I think
his games were
franchise on
probably
midgets.
first.
I think they was
Yeah,
playing midgets.
and then Malik and them would be the second game.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, or the basketball moms, we would all be there like at the Southside Boys and Girls Clubs or wherever the game was going to be at. And then years later, what's the chances of, you know, you and Josh, aka Nice,
Mm-hmm.
being at the Met together?
Right.
It's like,
So when it comes into DJing, I owe my whole thing to Josh and Pooh. As far as the development of Knockout, of who Knockout is today, is all them.
How'd you get that name, Knockout?
Man, well, my initials is KO, and I was a shooter. Like I can pull up from anywhere really,
Uh-huh.
and it was just like the thing, knockout. They would yell that,
Oh, okay.
you know, and I throw one down the pipe too, bing, Like, you know.
so when was it that you realized, well, let me just say this. Do you think that DJing helped you deal with the passing of your brother?
1000%. So the DJing was like my what would you call that? Like
Saving grace?
my therapy. DJing was definitely my therapy. That's how I would get out my anger. My anger would flow through how I'm cutting the records or how I'm just moving the room and stuff like that. It was definitely a therapy for me. I think that if I would have never turned to the music or didn't have a passion for it, I might have been a little bit more involved, honestly. So I'm happy that I took the DJing route and really fell in love with it. I think music, as far as DJing, I can say it saved my life a little bit, I think, because I know what I'm capable of. So if I wasn't busy or I didn't have a love for something, and
Your mind would have been somewhere else.
yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it. I'm right there. I'm seeing everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I'm hearing these conversations. I'm seeing things. I'm hearing it, and then I'm seeing it. And I'm watching it on the news, and it's just like it's.
Your blood's boiling like.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just everything was just happening. And that was, I've been around death at an early age. My uncle passed and stuff like that. And, family members and things like that, elders and stuff. So that wasn't a shock. It was a shock that it was my brother. So that changed the game a lot. And then I started to see other murders in the city happen and stuff like that, young people. So it was really like, all right, where are we living? What is this jungle that we're in?
Now, what streets did you grow up on?
We grew up like in the Elmwood area, like off of the south side,
Okay.
in the south side area.
You got some family lives on Dudley Street. Derek and
That was back in the day. That was before my time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was Troy and them.
Uh-huh.
Troy.
Yeah, that was way back.
That's when I met your uncle Gerald. Gerald used to
Yep.
be
So
around
he was the first one I watched him pass in the house, but it was because he was sick. So I remember that. That my
there.
aunt,
Troy was sharp. Troy was a sharp dude.
my grandmother's sister and stuff like that. So, but as far as my brother being taken from me, that was the shock. That was the whoa. That was a scary moment, and it was a very scary time. Even though I wore it well, I have a smile on my face all the time and things like that. But it was kind of like, damn, should I fight this kid right now? Ugh, probably not, because he's probably gonna.
Yeah.
I might get shot. So yeah, let me walk away from this, or let me try to talk my way out of it. I know if anything happens to me, I already know the horses are coming. So it's just like, how do I stop that from happening?
You made the right decision.
You did, and kudos to you, because I know as especially young men, as they grow older, it's like, yep, now I'm an adult. Nobody can tell me what to do.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't use it like that because I knew how serious it was.
Right.
It was just like that button that's under that case that says, please do not push unless you want to start a war. Like that was the button. And that's what I chose always to respect on both sides, because I'm not saying my family was unstoppable or anything like that, because no one is, but I knew that if I ever remove that glass
A lot
casing
of people could get hurt.
and press that button, it was going to be detrimental to everybody, not just the opposition. It was going to be detrimental to my family as well. You know what I mean? So everything was strategic with me. Did I want to? Absolutely. I want to bang that thing and break it down so it was forever on. But I just knew that wasn't gonna be it. You know, there was a lot of people gonna get hurt behind that. So I always thought about that as a kid, always. So what do? Try to just make everybody laugh and be positive and, you know, hope that it doesn't happen again. Or what can I change, or how can I operate through life to try to get past that threshold?
So during all that process, even up till now, did anyone or does anyone ever like say, "Hey, Kari, how are you?"
Yeah. Sometimes you get it, but I think that when you how can I put this? When you lose somebody that young, you start to get like this abandonment type of thing develops in your mind. So you overextend yourself. You always try to be the emp for everybody else who's going through stuff because you've been there, but you've never really dealt with it yourself. So you're just there. And I've been there for everybody else. And sometimes it feels like, you know, you're alone in things. You know what I mean? No one really understands how you felt because they didn't go through that. But you become that because you don't want to lose people now. Even with relationships, you don't want to lose somebody, so you're holding them tight even if they're not for you.
Right.
You're trying to save them. You're trying to fix them. You know, you don't want them to feel how you felt from losing your brother and stuff like that. So, and that's, I've been working on that for years though, because I overextend myself all the time. So when someone does ask how you doing, and I sit back and I really think about that and I answer truthfully, but it does feel good to get that. I don't think I've ever went into a depression, but it has been I did question, what is my calling? You know what I mean? Like, what am I here to do? You know, what can I give back before my time's up? That's how I look at it.
Wow. And in a minute, we'll get to, you know, what you're currently doing. But I remember being at an event and we met up and you shared something with me in regards to someone that you're working with. And I remember saying to you that, you know, your story was going to help that person because even though their situation was a little different, they still suffered a loss at a young age.
Right.
So I didn't think it was just by chance that you all got connected, because I really believe that you're going to help that person when they go through them feelings that they're going to be going through.
Correct. And it's funny because I've known him I didn't know him, but I've seen him since he was a kid, and I didn't even know he had the talent he has. So it was just by chance that I was with my other artist that I had found at the time. We were doing a show, and there this kid is. And I just couldn't get away from his voice, that tone. That is like an angel.
So if you could give advice to someone who's been through what you've been through, what would you say to, like, it could be the young man or young woman that may listen to this episode that may have experienced what you have and probably dealing with a lot of anger and, you know, again, kudos to your family because you had that support. So they kept you, because of how they supported you, it made you want to stay on the right path. Because I know, and everybody doesn't have that. So some people, you know, it's like, you know, they have to deal with their parents not being able to deal with the grief. So the parents get lost doing other things and they forget that they have other children or a child that's there also grieving. So kudos again to your parents, to your family, because they played a big part in being able to sit here and talk with me tonight.
And they were also older at the time too, older than a lot of the men and women who are having kids or losing kids at an early age. If they're losing their kids while they're in their 30s and their kids, You know what I mean? So it was a different type of, upbringing. But I think what I would the advice that I would give even to someone that lost their own sibling, there's really nothing you can do to bring them back. Nothing at all. There's no wish. There's no magic. There's nothing you can do to revive them. There's nothing you can do to bring their spirit back to their temple. There's nothing you can do. So when you're making your rational decision, choose wisely. That's it. Just think about your choices and do it on a sober mind. Don't do it. Don't make the choice while you're riding around with your bottle and you're smoking and you got your boys ready to, It's not because you'll be sitting down thinking about you might have just went home or went the left, took that left instead of that right down the street. Just it's really choices. If you know what you can do and you know what you're capable of, think about that choice. Chess, not checkers. Checkers is a quick game that ends fast. Chess will last you forever playing with someone that knows how to play. And I feel like that's life. And in life, there's so many other countries you can visit and see what's out there and stuff like that. Start traveling.
Yeah, don't throw your life away because if you went out there in revenge, then you're washed up. That person's gone. So it's not even worth it. I believe in karma.
Yeah.
Just you know what I mean?
I mean, get it.
It might not come from you, but it's
right,
coming.
Right. Get it. Get it how you live. If that's how you want to go out, or if that's what you think is gonna change or make you feel better, just think about your choice. You want to touch the stove, seeing that the coils is red, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. But it's a never-ending cycle. Imagine if
Right.
Imagine if it was just tit for tat, back and forth. How many wars just end, or they don't end, or they go on for years? It's the same thing.
People, moms and dads are burying their kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's sad.
Yeah.
Sad to see. And it's not like if you don't do anything now you took the L and you're a sucker or something like that. It's not that mindset.
Some kids have that mindset.
They do, but then they're regretting it because now they're buried in the jails for 30 years, and now they're missing life, and it's just like choices. I guarantee half the people that got some get back and got caught, if you're gonna, what I mean? I guarantee a lot of those guys, if they had a choice to do it again, they might have not have done it the way they did it, or they might have chose not to. But so I mean, it's really there's, as far as like the parents go, just try to be there for your kids, and really be in their lives, you know what I mean, as much as you can. But choices at the end of the day, just make that, the choice is yours. It says it. The choice is yours. The red pill or the blue pill. You know what I mean? Some people get away with stuff, and then they suffer in different ways that you never see.
I was going to say, so it seems.
Right. Some people that they might get away with a couple bodies, but they might be suffering in different ways. Now they might come down with cancer years later, and now, or something painful. You never know. Now some people might be dropping off of their family. They don't know why, or I don't know.
Yeah, karma's coming.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Choices.
So you got into the music thing, and I remember, like, was it you and Josh? You guys rapped a little bit. You did rapping.
Josh was the rapper, yeah. I was just the hype man, just
I remember the
supporting my
show
boy.
somewhere downtown, the convention center, or somewhere down there, and but again, just as your parents supported whatever it was that you did. So now in front of us we have DJ Knockout.
If I ever rap, Josh wrote it. It wasn't me. He definitely wrote it.
So we have DJ Knockout. So on a lighter note, tell us a little about DJ Knockout.
Well, he was born in the official DJ Knockout was born in, I would say somewhere, might have been my sophomore year. My sophomore year of high school, and I was birthed by the one and only DJ Franchise. He's the one that allowed me to use his skill and his talent as a mentee mentorship type of thing. So I needed credits for a certain, aspect of my education in high school, and that's what they allowed me to do. So I went up to his dormitory every Tuesday and Thursday, and he would leave me in a room and be like, when I get back, this blend better be on point, or when I get back, you better know how to scratch on the 4, on the 8, or on the 2. And it was a thing. And then it was, music kind of history and which record goes with this one, BPMs before we had the computers. He taught me how to hear it. My ear was always musically inclined, but before that, it was like I played everybody plays the recorder, but they went from the trumpet and to the saxophone. Like I can read music and play the sax. Like I can read it and play it. So, but it was bigger than that as far as what I wanted, what I thought was cool, because I saw your son DJ before I knew him as Pooh from the Boys and Girls Club. I didn't know who he was as Franchise. I always heard of Franchise and stuff like that, but I saw him in action before I actually even really got busy on them things, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So he trained, he taught me. Josh kind of kept me polished as far as like my skill set, and then it just developed. I took everything Franchise did and developed my own. Like I don't sound like him, I don't cut like him, I don't say things like him. I watched him and I emulated how he delivered it, but I made it my own. And then that went from running with G Unit for a little bit. Me and Josh, we would cut school and run with those guys when they were in town. And that, I'm just saying, that's what we did. No, I mean, that's what we did.
I was like, yo.
Josh, you're on punishment. Josh, wherever you're at, go home. You're on punishment.
No, that's what we did. That's what we did
20
But
years ago,
our
but I'm going to
teacher
get
knew.
you for that.
Our teacher knew. We would ask him, listen, can we, G Unit is in town. They got a show at Mansfield, the Tweeter Center in Mansfield. Can we go? We kind of need to leave now. Even if he said no, we were out. But he said, okay, you better come back with drops, something. And this is back in the day when you had Nextels and Nokias and stuff like that. So we recorded the drop. I think it was on like his Nextel of 50 and Lloyd Banks giving us drops for our mixtape. That was our thing.
One thing I have to say about you and Josh, they knew how to get to the artist.
Oh, so you've got the Meet G Unit.
We used to
God,
run with
yeah.
them. We used to run with them boys. Like back when 50 was big, we were right there. We were the two youngest ones that couldn't go anywhere, but for some reason we would get in. Yeah.
And then as they got of age, I remember when they used to still come to like Strand or Loop.
Every time they would come in the New England
they would
area, we'd
always
get a
be
text
there.
or call. Yo, I'm in town, bro. Pull up. Or if they want to know where to eat or something like that, we'd be like, yo, pull up here, pull up there.
How old was you guys?
We were in high school still.
Wow, 16, 17.
But I had a car. I drove, so it was just like, all right, where we going? Josh, he was the mastermind behind it all, though. He was the one that knew.
And-
No, but I'm just
Josh,
letting you
you're in
know.
trouble. Josh,
no,
you're in
but
trouble
let me tell you the
again.
dynamic.
No, not for that.
The
But I
dynamic.
know what he means. by that.
Josh is the one who puts the play together. I'm the one who goes and gets it.
Yeah.
So because Josh wasn't the talker, he sits back and like, all right, this is who you need to talk to. You see that guy right there? That's him. Go talk to him. Do your thing. He wouldn't tell me what to say. He would give me he would prep me before I would leave the vessel and go and bring it back. But Josh was the one he always knew where everybody was at as far as talent and celebrities. He knew when they would be in town. He knew when the show was. He knew what time it started. He knew where the in-stores were, and that's how we caught them. We caught them at that Mark Echo store in Emerald Square Mall, but we let Lloyd Banks, 50 Cent, Young Buck, Tony Ayo go in. Josh was like, it's the perfect time. We should just go holler at the drivers, because we can't get close to them unless we holler at the security or the drivers. I was like, yo, you're right. Stay right here. I got this. I went over there and I told them that I'm the, listen, you guys, you're in my city. Whatever you guys need, I can get you. I was BSing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I knew that if I had to show for it, I could, because I knew everybody.
Yeah.
And you're from the streets. You could get your hands on anything. So I was praying they didn't ask me for anything, but I knew if they did, I would have to make a couple calls, and just because he didn't want to look crazy. So we ended up getting the cheapest tickets to the show, and we walked around. I walked around with a notebook. I was like, and they told me they wanted some girls. They wanted some cute women to hang out with and stuff like that. So
Don't every guy?
I mean, but that's how we got in. So I walked around with a notebook just inviting people to like the hangout spot. And that we bought the tickets that me and Josh bought with $12. We did not watch the show not once. We just walked around trying to network. And that's kind
probably
of
the
how we
only
went with them.
tickets he bought, because I always won tickets.
I
Yeah,
always
you
heard
would
you on the
win the
radio.
ticket.
Always.
You would win the tickets
I would win the-
big shows. But fast forward a little bit after that, then I started doing the clubs, the proms, the clubs. Franchise would tell me to pull up to his club, like the Boys and Girls Club parties that he used to do. And he used to set me up. And he used to be like, I knew where all his crates were from working with him and being the mentee. So I knew where everything was by the color of the crate, and the bad boy crate, the down south crate, the this crate, the that crate. And he would leave knowing that song was about to end. And he would go outside for a smoke break, and he wouldn't come back for about 45 minutes. So that would force me to really get busy with his. And if I came back and the party was still rocking, that's where I kind of got
You
my.
nervous?
Was I nervous? I couldn't eat. I think I was like, I had cotton mouth and everything. I couldn't breathe. My heart was pounding up my chest because you're in a basement. If this party goes stale, there's probably gonna be a fight that's gonna break out. Those type of parties.
Between that and him, all those bins of records, and he knew where every record was.
So did
in
I.
The bin. So if it was out of order, he was going to.
I never. That was one thing he taught me. Don't ever pull it out, because now you're gonna throw out my crate. And as DJs, we have crates. We have songs in certain order because you know where they are. So I would pick it up, boom, and it would look like a diamond. Pull the record out. By the time, if the party was rocking, by the time by the time the party was over, your cuticle should kind of be a little chopped up, a little bloody, just from going through the records, looking for that one. And then you had to know what certain scratches were. I think All About the Benjamins before Little Kim's verse, I think might have been a scratch on one of his records. I'm not sure, but you had to throw it to the double before that came up. You had to know it was coming up.
What was your first party on your own?
My first party on my own, he let me open up at URI. And I had a curfew, so I had to get out of there before people even really started coming in. I think there might have been like 20 people or something like that. But I was still nervous because he was my biggest critic. I couldn't make the guru mad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then I'd probably never get that opportunity again.
How'd
So
he
I
do?
practiced.
How'd he do? He was fine.
Yeah. So that was my first. And then Finnegan's downtown, which is not there no more. I think it's called like, I don't know what it's called. But,
Yeah, I know. I know what that
yeah,
is.
so Empire and forgot the street. But Finnegan's.
Westminster. Yep.
So Finnegan's, I went there a few nights back to back, and I was telling the owner, I was like, listen, man, this DJ you got up there, and I think it was CR the Beast at the time, God rest his soul, but I was like, man, I'm better than him. I'll battle him right now. So that was my thing. That's how I got on. I was challenging every DJ I knew. Man, I'll battle you right now. You don't want no smoke with me, da-da-da. Because I was so eager.
You didn't challenge Franchise?
No, but I saw him and Ruckus go at it, so that was kind of like, yeah, I guess that's the way. Challenge who you can challenge, and that's how you get your rep. You know what I mean? So I saw what him and Ruckus did, and that was mind blowing to me. It was like Juice, and he was really, I never seen nobody scratch like that, and he was cutting, juggling, came up out his shirt and was juggling.
Yeah.
That was the
More
craziest thing.
than the shirt. More than the shirt.
Yeah, he was in his boxes by the time he was done. Like I was like,
Then he
that
lights
was-
the
fire,
records on
yeah.
fire.
yeah. That was the first time I've ever seen that right in front of you. I saw it on the movie Juice, but he was kind of the one that sparked the flame. And then I just, took it to the next level when I was challenged. And so the CR told me, man, you ain't got to be like that, man. You just, if you want to open up, you can open up. You ain't got to come at me. I don't know you, little kid. You know what I'm saying? Chill with that, homie. Matter of fact, get a drink. I was too young to drink, but
I want your spot.
yeah, I told him, I was like, man, I'm just trying to. He was like, yeah, I know, but you don't have to be like that. Let me talk to Louie and Guy. Let me talk to these guys, and what nights are you available? And it was that. He was like, you got a computer? I was like, yeah. You got a hard drive? Yep. You sure you could DJ? I'm like, yep. So and then he was like, all right, keep coming, and I'll let you get on periodically. And that's how the club situation happened. And then Half Pint saw me spin. And one time on a Wednesday, Fred the Great couldn't make it. And he was like, I can't make it either. Can you fill in? And I was like, whoa. I called up all my boys. It's go time. I'm DJing at Finnegan's tonight.
Got a shot at the title, eh?
Man, was I nervous? My hands were sweating. I couldn't even, But once I got into it and once I just let that pain flow through me, it was just like, you know, it was like I've been here before. Like, this is what I'm really meant to do. And I smashed it that night.
So now you got all your club experience going on.
Finnegan's, Level 2, Ultra, Jerky's, Elements, Karma, every club. Now I'm going to Boston sometimes here and there. And then, you know, that turns into doing big clubs years later in Boston, being the resident DJ in one of the biggest clubs in Boston at Bijou, and then going to Venue, Icon. I was starting to make a big name.
So now we go from DJing in the clubs to, I believe, was it 7th Streeter, the first person?
Yep, 7th Streeter. The way I got that job is, so Tina Davis, the one who, Chris Brown's old manager, the one who, I guess, I think she discovered. But Tina Davis, I had met her through Tommy Whipple from Foxwoods, and they were looking for a DJ or something like that. So she called me out of the blue after I had met her in LA, and she said, "Hey, Knockout, what's going on?" I'm like, "Hey, Tina, how you doing, Miss Davis? Are you free tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on?" She's like, "Well, 7 got a show." I said, "All right, what you need me to do?" She was like, "Can you DJ the show?" I said, "When?" She said, "Tomorrow." I was like, because I didn't know 7th Street. I didn't know none of her records. So, you know, like I do, yeah, I could do it. Where's this at? New York. What time? Tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So I said, yeah, I'll be there. Now I'm scrambling. I'm like, what do I wear? What do I do? What's this girl's music? You'll find out when you get there. So I went and got a rental car because I wasn't taking my truck up there. Went and got a rental car the next morning. Downloaded her whole album. I think I bought the album and just listened to every song on the way to New York. So by the time I got there, I knew her songs fluently, as if I was a super fan. And it was for I think it was a vitamin water event. I had never met her. She never met me. She kind of just dapped me up. "Hey, nice to meet you. Okay, this is the songs I'm going to do. Do you got them?" I had them. She had a little flash drive of what she wanted to do. And we chopped it up for 10 minutes. She said, "You got this, right?" And I was like, "Yep." In my mind, I was like, "Nope." When I got on that stage, it was like I forgot all her music because everybody was like this, just looking. And it was packed. But then once we dropped the song, I was like, "Oh, I know this one." And without her even asking me, when she would take pauses or breaths, I would fill in. But not like in a hype man rapper style. It was just like, talking because she's a singer. And by the time we were done, Tina Davis said, "Wow, you did an amazing job. I couldn't even tell y'all never met before." And that turned into my career, my very great run with 7th Streeter. And then towards the end of my run with her, we had jumped on a Jeremiah tour for 3 dates. And I was getting busy on them things years later, and they saw that, and they called me 6 months later like, "Yo, can you do this show?" And yeah, I showed up and shut it down. And that's just how it, kept going. And I've been working with Jeremiah since.
Right. And before we, because we know your resume goes on and on and on, but before we conclude, so tell us what you are currently working on other than being Jeremiah's DJ.
So before I was 7's DJ, I had discovered this girl by the name of Raish, and then she's a phenomenal singer, talented
Pick a
individual.
side.
Right. Yep, she has a record, Pick a Side. But found her, ended up signing my first record deal with Atlantic Records for her. And then I would say maybe 4 to 5 years after that, I found the kid that I currently signed to my company and that I'm currently working with. His name's Thomas Dyer. Phenomenal singer. Great look, great overall package about him. Very, very humble kid. Yeah, and he's we dropped one song last year, October 2022, on his birthday. Next song comes out Friday this week. I've had so many meetings about him already. And he's like a mix between John Legend and Sam Cooke, kind of like he has that range.
I like
And his
Sam
falsetto is ridiculous too. But phenomenal kid, and that's what I'm working on. We did some records, a lot of records actually. I've recorded in Atlanta, LA, New York with this kid. Do a lot of stuff.
What's the name of your company?
Golden Air. And it was kind of like golden air, you know, because I feel like my ears are kind of golden, but it didn't make sense. Golden ear. If someone was to ask me, what is the golden ear? So it was like the golden air. The heir to the throne is always golden over here, you know. So that was like kind of my concept. Pretty corny if you ask me, but I don't know. I must have been nervous when I was picking it. I don't know. But yeah, Thomas Dyer. That's what I'm working on now. I still tour with Jeremiah. I was just in Australia, New Zealand, Africa. Went to Ghana for the first time. That was pretty great experience. Australia was lovely. New Zealand, people in Australia and New Zealand are beautiful and nice. Same thing with Ghana. Beautiful city, beautiful country.
Was you in Ghana?
I was there for a week.
Okay.
Me and Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle was there. I was hanging with him for a few days. Erykah Badu. Got to meet her and chop it up with her for a little bit. Chance the Rapper. Got to meet him. It was his tour. His show in Ghana with Vic Mensa. So it was Jeremiah, Vic Mensa, Erykah Badu, Toby, Chance the Rapper, and a few other artists that were on the bill. But everybody was there. Dave Chappelle was there. Like T-Pain was on the bill. So it was a good experience, just to get to network and actually have conversations with the people that you kind of grew up on, and that people deem idols and iconic, you know, musicians. So that's what I'm working on. Thomas Dyer.
Well, we are getting ready to wrap this up. I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story with us and then your success. You've come a long way from that 9-year-old little boy. And I'm glad to see that you chose to stay on the right path and didn't do those things that sometimes your mind may have been telling you to do. So it's always good when you can, you know, in the midst of sorrow and grief, but you could still have, I don't know if I should say a happy ending, but you're on the path to a happy ending. So I'm sure your parents are proud of you and your family, because
I hope so.
I'm sure they are.
It takes a lot, you know. It takes a lot of quiet nights, you know.
Right, but you know what? They're not going to the cemetery to visit another child. They're not going to the ACI with gates, you know, closing behind them, you know, sitting behind a window visiting you. If they want to see you, they could pop up at any of your shows in any state. So I'm sure they're proud of you. And I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Come a long way from the boy that used to come in my house, go to the snack cabinet, look for the oatmeal cream cookies or the honey buns.
My favorite, yeah.
And
Oatmeal.
I'm like, you know, your parents probably don't want you eating this junk food.
Man, we didn't have snacks at my house.
I don't believe that.
No, I'm gonna tell you.
No, he always said that. He always.
It was Jelon and Quentin's house, my dad's brother, they had the snacks. They had Cookie Crisp, everything, all the sugary cereals that you can think of as a kid. So I used to walk in the house like, man, look at all this greatness. No, we didn't really do that. There was Wheaties at my house. So how many kids want to eat Wheaties?
He's like, yeah, my parents eat healthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
I
Thank
am.
You.
Definitely made the right choice.
Means
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah, I think I did too. And like I said, it's an everyday thing. It's not just I made the right choice, you know, years ago and now I'm good. No, it's still there.
Right.
The beast is still right there, you know, hoping that you open that door. And I just try to, you know, I try to keep that smothered.
But you keep doing what you're doing the right thing, and your brother wouldn't want you to go down that road. So,
Right.
So you stay focused.
I just know what it I know what it
Yeah.
comes with. Like
Yeah.
I trust me, I want it to, and you know,
Right.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I
but it's
get it.
like, yeah.
Just
So
your best friend.
right. It's just do I want to? Does that need to happen again right now? From me, from if I press the button, no. But if that button is pushed, you know, we're ready for it.
Yeah, well, we're going to pray that God continues to give you strength to not even think about the
Right.
button,
Right.
and that you continue on the path that you're going, because you know what? You control your destiny.
Exactly. and it's not something that there's no wins from it. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I feel like that, maybe a lot of wars probably wouldn't have started if certain politicians didn't press certain buttons. Who knows? You know what I mean? But it takes a lot for me to do something dumb when I already weighed the consequences out or thought about it or thought it through.
Right.
I know what the ending result is going to be. It can possibly be A or B. There is no C in between that.
Right.
So,
Well, again, thank you so much, and I hope that whoever may listen to this episode, that they get something
and
out of it.
yeah, and this, if anybody is listening, and if you have been through what I've been through, and if you do need to talk about it, or you want to reach out and really have a one-on-one with me, like, just my Instagram is @DJKNKOUT. Shoot me a message, and we could really talk about it, because I know how it feels to want to do the negative stuff, or I know how it feels to, not be able to comprehend why it happened, or what, how you are supposed to be feeling, or something like that. Like, I'm always open to tell my story, hoping that it can help the next person.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
It's good that you didn't act on that, because look at you now. You're in Ghana with Dave Chappelle and Erykah Badu with mega stars. Like,
yeah,
if you would have went down that, you come to, sometimes in your life you come to a fork in the road. You took the right road, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now. You could be either in the ground or in Cranston.
Right.
You did the right thing. As
Right.
much as you want to do the wrong thing, believe me, you made the right choice.
yeah. Like, I wasn't looking for a 50 Cent story or something like that, or some reputation in the streets. I come from that. I saw the Wolves do what they did from my side. So it was like, what's the, there's really, the choice is really, but
Yep.
I'm here for anybody that wants to
So
talk
drop
more.
your socials again.
@DJKNKOUT on Instagram, and that's basically all I use, really. Everything else is kind of, I get so busy, I don't have time to operate the other stuff, but that's where you'll see everything that I want you to see is right there.
All right. And Mr. Co-host,
CLJ 208 on every platform.
and you can find me on Facebook, Sherla White, on Instagram, MS_Sherla. Please find us on our YouTube channel, Let's Talk Church and Other Things. The link is in my Facebook profile. And yeah, we would love to hear from you. So drop us an email at ltc.otpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you, Kari, aka DJ Knockout,
Thanks for having me.
taking the time and talking with us on this evening. And if I could encourage anyone who's listening on today, especially a young person who may have encountered what Kari has gone through, you know what? Find your niche.
That's it.
Find something
That you're good at.
that you can do. And you know what? Sometimes the parent may be, well, I don't want you doing that. But you know what? If you know that's what it's going to take to keep you on the right track, do it. Surround yourself with like-minded people who will help you succeed and keep you on that right path. Everybody doesn't have the family like Kari has, but you know what? I'm sure there's a friend out there, there's a teacher out there, there's someone who will support you and believe in your vision and what you want to do. So find your niche. There's a lot of things out here to do. Find your niche. We don't want to have to go to any more funerals. We don't want to have to go to the ACI to visit. We want to be able to hear and share your success story. So please find out that thing that you can do that's going to keep you on the right track. Until next time, peace and blessings.